I was just thinking about like all of the ways that Saban has changed the sport, and one of the reasons why I thought that he was probably done was just the way he was acting all this year, right? Like it used to be, hey, like you get 6 minutes with him, you probably get like 5 minutes 50 seconds, and he is out the door on to the next thing. Like he's always so focused on what's next. How do I create my next edge? And this year it's taking little time with people who had met something to him around the program over the years, making the full lap around the stadium after they beat Tennessee and high-fiving all the fans and thanking everybody. Even like how he talked and operated on the Hey Coach show. And it was just sort of like he was taking it all in an appreciative manner, in case this was it, right? And it turned out, that it was. I don't know exactly the reason why he's hanging it up. I saw a lot of reports that he was actively conducting interviews yesterday for assistant coaches. And I guess that fits with a guy that's just so focused on do your job, do your job, do your job until it's no longer your job. But like you think about all the edges that Nick Saban like found, created, or exploited in this game to have this level of dominance. I mean, he's probably had more accomplishments than the next best two SEC coaches in the modern era combined, right? Like more titles than Kirby and Urban. Just insane. Like he got to Alabama. It was an absolute disaster there in terms of when they were on probation. Now he had him over a barrel with leverage, and he used it because he was on the Dolphins. And he's like, I'm not coming back. Remember the whole I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. And he got a lot of I think assurances, but he got those a lot of those people who wanted to be involved and have a lot of credit and have influence. He got them to open the checkbooks and shut the mouth and just get out of the way. And I thought that was really key. And it'll be interesting to see how the Alabama job is with him not there anymore, right? Does it revert back to some of that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to have a little more influence rather than the one voice policy that they've run. I think it's a testament to how good he was that all these schools, like, all right, we got to figure out the secret sauce. Let's just hire a bunch of these guys who work for him and maybe it'll work. And a couple did. And a lot were absolute disasters, right? I mean, like Jeremy Pruitt got hired to coach Tennessee, like wildly unqualified, just because he had been around Saban, right? It's kind of amazing to me. Like you dominate that much. Like, yeah, we gotta go get a guy from that operation, to help out. But like, I feel like just always looking forward and the way that he got guys to come there and compete. That was one of the reasons I was at these camps, and why I started to look into the data for Blue Chip. Because like back in the day, people are like, "Oh, Michigan State could win one, Wisconsin could win it." I'm like, man, you guys spend one day with me at these camps, and you tell me that you think those schools can compete with the type of guys they're bringing in, and the starters on that level of team means they've beaten out all these other guys who are freaks too. So they all got the freaky athleticism, but the guys who are starting probably have the right mentality because they've actually beaten out other studs with the iron sharpens iron. He hired Al Groh as a graduate assistant. Al Groh had coached in the Super Bowl as a coordinator. And he's like that's the kind of loophole stuff. He's like, well, is there any rule against us hiring a 55-year-old NFL defensive coordinator as a graduate assistant? Stuff like that, like the oversigning stuff. Like they put in limits on oversigning, not entirely because of Saban, but he damn sure exploited it. He started to run that roster like an NFL roster. If you can't play, you got to go. Not out cutting guys, but you can make it uncomfortable enough to where, and that's kind of cutthroat. But I just feel like every single little edge, like he was one of the first guys to have an enormous staff, right? Where did we had never heard of analysts in college football, really, before Nick did it, and certainly not an army of analysts. And just like that's where the sort of army of polos came from. I'm going down my list here. I had somebody who worked for him for a long time tell me, like, people say he's a jerk, but he's a jerk about your work product, not about you as a person. And that's how he can chew your ass out and then come back and be normal to you the next day. Whereas if your boss is somebody who takes like personal shots as who you are as a person, that's how your employees and your subordinates hold grudges against you. And so he's just really good at not crossing the line into what felt like a personal attack. He would keep it about the work. And if you couldn't get the work right, he would replace you. I thought that was interesting though,
It's all right. We can have a conversation.
I had a list on the plane yesterday. Sorry. Like, here's the things I think, like nutrition.
So you did spend a lot of time on an airplane thinking about this.
I did. I was like 2 rows back from Zenitz, and we looked like, we worked for 24/7 Sports, and breaks a boatload of news. We look at each other like, of course, this is going to break right as we get on the flight. By the way, Danny, shout out for the autopilot Tesla stuff yesterday.
Hey,
awesome,
it
man.
worked wonders. It worked wonders.
Real quick pause on this, because this is from the Cover 3 tailgate. This is an interactive mailbag. Wagner says, did the soccer team win last night? And did you lock down that soccer NIL cheese?
Heck yeah. 7-0. 7-0. Yeah, it was right in the bag, working on the NIL package as we speak. To Bud's point, he caught it in there at the end. Nutrition is 100% one of the things that Saban. How about mental coach? Trevor Moawad sadly passed away, but he was one of the first ones that brought him in. One of the first coaches to have a mental, coach or a psychologist work with the athletes. Anything that would give him an edge, you would do. I mean, and then what's crazy is how many people copied it. The staff, all the things that he was doing, and it's a tribute to his greatness, right? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. How many other coaches and great coaches would steal from him? And sometimes it was offered up and they would, coaches share their secrets, but everyone copied what he was doing. So now everyone has a smoothie bar that makes protein shakes and, has 5 members on a wait staff and has the biggest, best, most cutting edge, workout equipment when it comes to catapult, checking out, how many GPS, how many miles per hour are you going? What's your heart rate? All that stuff, cutting edge.
Just so many areas, like in recruiting, it's like, it's the bag game, not the brag game. Shut your mouth. Everybody needs to pull in the same direction. I really wonder, like, did Saban have a lawyer on hand who just read the rules and was like, well, it doesn't say we can't do this, so let's do it. And let's do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour until they make another rule to try to stop me. Like, that is a testament to you that they're trying to hire your coaches all the time and they're making rules to stop what you're doing.
Well, I liked how he would come out and he would say, is this what we want football to be? Talking about some of the up-tempo offenses and spot the ball and the substitutions, and the rule went in, with him being like, I don't know about this. And then what did he do? Adapt and created an up-tempo offense that blitzed every single defense that they played. They start to talk about the transfer portal and NIL. And I don't remember him. I don't have Nick Saban as an in an anti-player position, especially as that conversation's been ongoing over the last half decade or so. But I do have him being like, well, this is going to become a little bit more like the pros. And what did he do? He went and got players from the transfer portal that helped him win at the highest level. Like at all these different places, yes, he's always looking for not even just like loopholes, but just like you mentioned, Bud, edges, like ways that you can maximize it. He doesn't think something's a good idea. It goes through anyway. Well, he's going to be the best at that in the new era. But I think what you said at the very beginning about where Alabama was when he showed up, that has been in my mind, because so many of Alabama's peers deal with dysfunctional booster groups and other schools that want to compete for national championships and have been chasing that Nick Saban success. Some of the failed coaching searches, some of the ways that things have gone have been because they don't have that alignment. And I just wonder if there's any name that we've mentioned that's going to be able to unify and command that group.